All right, if you hated school growing up, this one's for you. All right, so school is not neutral. It isn't. School is it's the first institution that tells a child what they are allowed to be. And if you want to understand the story of ADHD, you have to understand this first. The school system came first. The diagnosis came later. They built a structure based on obedience, sitting still, and quiet compliance. Then they created a medical category for children who could not conform to that structure. So this is not a medical story. This is a system story. The Prussian model, it was designed specifically to take children and turn them into compliant factory workers and compliant soldiers. That is the DNA of modern school. And from the moment that a kid starts kindergarten, every single hour of that day is about shaping them to obey the bell. Sit here, don't talk, raise your hand, wait your turn, memorize this, regurgitate that. None of this is how children learn. Children learn through movement, through building things, through trial and error, through imitation of adults in real life environments. Children were built to learn through physical interactions with the world. But here's the thing, the system cannot control that. So what does it do? It replaced life with worksheets and standardized testing. And the tragedy is this: children who resist this unnatural environment, because that's what it is, it's unnatural. The ones who resist this, they are not defective. They are responsive. They are reacting exactly how a healthy organism reacts when it is trapped in a cage. But instead of redesigning the cage, the culture drugs the kid. And because most adults today were also raised inside that same cage, they just assume the cage is normal. This is how false baselines get created. You take an unnatural environment, force children into it, and then call the ones who struggle disordered. That is how you invent abnormality. But the truth is, the real baseline is energy, it's curiosity, it's motion, experimentation, noise, trying and failing, and trying again. Physical trial, risk, exploration. Those are not symptoms, those are developmental requirements. And the system doesn't have the capacity to handle those traits, so they pathologize them. And this is the truth that a lot of parents don't want to face. ADHD is not a natural category. ADHD is a symptom of a mismatch between human biology and industrial education. The school system cannot change because it wasn't built for the development of children. It was built for the convenience of the state. So because of that, it is the child that gets labeled. And that labeling follows that child for the rest of their life. Because of this, their own sense of identity becomes warped. It becomes warped by terms that were invented to make them easier to manage. This is exactly why so many men grow up and feel broken. Because from the age of 7, they were told by their teachers and their peers that and by doctors and therapists that their male wiring was a disorder. The world didn't break that kid, the system did. Let's go a layer deeper, shall we? If you want to see how manufactured this actually is, then you have to look at the timeline. The industrial education system was fully operational, like I said, long before the ADHD diagnosis category even existed. before that was even a thing, right? School came first, diagnosis came later. Meaning the medicalization was a retrofit. But here's where it gets darker. I've talked about this before. The same man who financed the Prussian-style public education system in America, John D. Rockefeller, he was a billionaire oil tycoon. He is the same man who financed the modern medical system and pharmaceutical industry. The Rockefeller Foundation. He engineered the environment and the cures for the symptoms that environment created. Problem, reaction, solution, Hegelian dialectic. This didn't happen because the system does hate children, but also it happened because the system has priorities that have nothing to do with children, right? So the system, it prioritizes consistency, compliance, predictability, and controllability, right? Those are system values. So just think about it. Any trait that disrupts those values, what happens? Well, it becomes a behavioral issue. The diagnosis is used to shift blame away from the system and onto the child. And that it creates a story that allows adults to avoid redesigning anything. If you think about it, teachers don't need to adjust their methods. Administrators, they don't need to allow more physical environments for learning. The institution doesn't need to evolve, and it hasn't. All responsibility gets placed on the child's neurology. And that creates a culture where energy is considered a disease, where sitting still for 8 hours a day is considered healthy and normal, and where this manufactured boredom is considered maturity. And if a child has a temperament that rejects monotony, the system does not say to the child, doesn't say to the parents, this environment is failing this child, or they don't say that to themselves. That conversation does not take place. What the system says is this child is failing this environment. It's the child who is failing in this environment, not the environment who is failing the child. And that is the inversion that we're seeing, and we've been seeing for decades, over a century. That inversion is how it's how they engineered the concept of abnormal children. But yeah, now let's talk about the adult outcome. So just take the same exact traits that got a boy punished in school. So restlessness, risk-taking, hyper-focus, resistance to authority, intense curiosity, physical energy, problem-solving through action. But now place those traits in the real world. What do you get? You get entrepreneurship, you get engineering, you get crisis response, you get the building of companies and invention and inventing solutions, different inventions. Those traits are strengths in the real world. The same world that medicated him at 8 will later depend on men like him to build the future. There's a reason why so many founders, inventors, top performers, and innovators were problem children. Problem children. They were never broken. They were miscast in the wrong environment. When a child's natural temperament is punished instead of shaped, the child becomes ashamed of who they are. And that shame stays with them into adulthood. And that is the meta damage. Not the pills, not the labels, the identity. The belief that something is wrong with me. That is the wound, which creates more problems and more medications are provided for those problems. That's a domino effect. This is not progress. This is cultural self-destruction. It's been playing out for so long. So long. We are a Prozac nation now. And the long-term cost isn't attention span. The long-term cost is the destruction of a generation of builders and explorers and creators. Men who could have changed the world, but instead we're taught to sit still and shut up. They didn't discover abnormal kids. They invented them. And then medicated them into compliance. That is the real crime.